Hello? Hello? This can be played in the background. Ano? Wait lang. Ay, hello? 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 Ay, sorry. Ay, wait. Nag-hello na sila. Sandali, wala akong makita kasi dun sa ano, dun sa YouTube. Sandali. Pero hello, hi. I'm, ayun, ayun. Ayun, okay na. Sorry. Ayun, nakikita ko na yung sarili ko. Ayun, ayun. Sandali. Sorry. Okay. Ayan, nakikita ko na yung sarili ko. I'm sorry. Ayan. Okay. So, ayan. Hi, I'm EK. I'm part of this of RC Readathon sa Dulo. I was asked to present about non-binary representation. Um, Thank you for listening to me. Ayan. At this point, I'm a member of the romance class group. What we technically I don't have a story yet for romance class. Uh, hopefully we will have a story in anthology in December along with Celestine Trinidad, Angeli Dumatol, and Ma'am Suzette. And po. So we will and yes, my character, one of them is non-binary. I think that's why I was chosen for this lecture. There will be slides as you will see, and there will be a lot of slides, but I will go through them uh, rather quickly naman. So in general, many slides will just pass through. So even if you see a lot of slides, okay. Ayun. Ayun. I'm I'm known more as a speculative fiction writer. Thank you for reading my books. Thank you for getting my yellow book. Yeah, that's it. I will so yun. And I will also replug the anthology in December. If you need uh the non-binary thing that I wrote myself is this one. This is the second book to the activated series. It's called Harmonics, and there is really one character that um, is non-binary, and it's it is part of. I use her in this story. It is part of her personality, but it is not. It is part of her personality and her characterization, but it is not the major point of the story. And I feel that there needs to be more stories like that, both of the kind that has a lot of the identity stories and the ones that do go beyond the identity story and want something for the character. Okay, so yeah, so let's start. First of all, I am not a soji expert. Soji meaning sexual orientation and gender identity and expression. I am not an expert at this. I am not part of any major association of LGBT. So I cannot speak with great authority on this. I can only tell you what I have learned by myself and what by knowing other people and from many things online by people who do know what they're saying. Okay, and also being non-binary is pretty much an individual thing. So my experience will not speak for everyone. Um, it will not speak for everyone, and it will speak for me, but it might be different for other people who also identify as non-binary. Some of what I will say might merge with the transgender, but not all. Okay. No. Right. Tapos, ayun. Sorry, sorry. Okay. I do have. Okay, sorry. Yeah. I do have content warnings. I have spoilers for several series, including some for Coffee Prince, some for Mulan, some for Voltron Legendary Defender. Yes, Voltron Legendary Defender, Oran High School Host Club, and Bromance, meaning one rom-com from Taiwan. Okay, it's also on Netflix. Okay. I will also have to mention sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression-based violence. Just to I have to drive home a point that some of these things are important to understand and to know. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So okay. There are several variations of how to explain this the easiest way. But one of the nicest is that I feel is the genderbread person. So even if we're used to calling it the gingerbread man, pero if you think about it carefully, the gingerbread presentation is does not tell you directly that the image is either gender. So so officially it's supposed to be a genderbread person. Okay. Okay. So a person is not identified by just one thing. It is he or she or they are presented by identified by several things. First of all, the I have the genitalia of the person, which might be male, might be female, might be neither, depending on various conditions. Okay. It also depends on the gender identity, what you think of yourself as a person. It might be congruent to the physical presentation, or it might not be congruent with the physical presentation. There's also gender expression, how you present to how you present yourself to the world. It might it might be congruent to your sexual to your physical presentation. It might not. Okay. Last, you also have attraction, the kind of person you are attracted to. They might be the same of your same gender. It's usually the opposite gender, but sometimes it's the same gender. For some people, gender doesn't matter. Sometimes having sex does not matter. Sometimes just having a romantic association matters. Okay, so one, two, three, four. So four things have to, in at the very least, have to be considered for each person because it might not be the same for all the time. Okay. So yun. So identity is not the same as expression. It's not the same as your genitalia. It's not the same as your gender. And it's not the same as your sexual orientation. Okay. Being non-binary most affects gender identity and gender expression. Okay. So any gender identity might start from almost none to very male or very female depending on the person. The gender expression might also be none to very masculine or very feminine or a combination of both. Okay? So being non-binary most affects these two. Okay? Tapos as a point of comparison, being gay is usually in relation to romantic and sexual attraction, who you prefer to love as a person. And so for straight people, it's the opposite gender. For gay and lesbian people, it's usually the same gender. Okay, so that's the major difference. Okay, so we will formally define. Okay, so there are two major definitions or how it's said. Okay, so the stricter definition is also associated with the androgynous presentation, meaning presents both feminine and masculine can be in various amounts, but in both feminine and masculine. Okay, so this is the stricter definition. Okay, so this does not apply to all non-binary people all the time. But this does empower some people who are non-binary. Okay, this person is ACK Dillon. They were in John Wick 3, in most well known role. But currently they are in Billions. It's a drama. Uh, they work as the financial analyst for one of the major characters. Okay, so ang ganda ng entrance niya in the in that series. But however, this is uh, it, it's in a it's in a procedural drama. So think about it before you watch. Okay, the wider definition, the definition that more non-binary people use is this one. The being non-binary is the umbrella term covering any gender identity or expression that does not fit within the gender binary. Gender binary meaning on one end the male, the very male gender, on the other end the very female gender. So non-binary people can move within that spectrum within that within that spectrum of the gender binary. So various non-binary people define it differently and individually for themselves. But in general, and sometimes the discourse gets confusing, especially on Twitter, is when you hear the people in the West talk about this. But in general, what they all mean is that the gender binary uh, does not settle for them. They feel that they do not want to be restricted by any of the gender binaries. Parang yun, that's in general what it means. Okay. Most prominent of the celebrities that you know is Sam Smith. Okay, he uses he and they. Lately, he says they. Okay, they were the one that was most prominent of the celebrities, but there are a lot of others. Okay. Okay, so what is the difference? There's not necessarily a difference between being non-binary and being transgender. Okay, being transgender, uh, strictly speaking, is um you you transitioned, and often it involves presenting differently from your gender binary. Okay, so um, this will be somewhat confusing. What you just need to understand is sometimes they are connected, sometimes they are not. The decision is individual. It depends on the person. Okay, so there are some transgender people who are empowered by the binary, meaning uh, they were born male. Their gender identity is that they are female, so they transition into a transgender woman. So in that sense, the binary empowers them in that way. You some that they are empowered that they are now female, okay, by through being transgender. There are some transgender people who still prefer to be non-binary, even if they do transition or even if they present differently, or they feel that being the opposite gender is works more for them, but they feel that they do not also want to be restricted by the gender binary. Okay. Conversely, some non-binary people feel that they do not need to transition. I do not think I need to transition. I'm okay. We're presenting like this and allowing and being allowed to be presented like this. I'm okay not fully transitioning. However, there are some non-binary people who do feel that they need to transition and fully present as the other gender while still being non-binary, not defined by the gender binary. So sometimes this happens that they transition because as non-binary people, kasi for me, kuwari, I'm okay wearing different clothes and and presenting male presenting while being born female. Some non-binary people feel that they have to go further to really feel this being non-binary, and they get transition. I also have to clarify, by the way, that transitioning and being transgender does not is not restricted to you have to be operated on. Okay, because it just depends on on your identity as a transgender person. Okay, because a lot of people cannot cannot undergo all the cannot undergo surgery and transitioning. They just they can only they can, for various reasons, whether they are out or they are not out yet, or there are health restrictions, they cannot be operated on. They cannot have the surgery, but they are transgender because they say they are transgender. Okay. I'm sorry if this is confusing. Okay, but what you need to understand is they're interrelated. The answer to this is individual. You ask the person that you're talking to what they are. It's not something that you can dictate. It's something that the person decides for himself, for themselves. Okay. Similarly, the presentation is motivated by the desire to be comfortable and true to themselves rather than attempting to follow any particular gender role. I present this way because for the longest time, I do not feel comfortable presenting as your usual female presentation. So, yun. Okay, so ganon. So, my presentation like this is motivated that I feel that this is more true to myself, and this is more comfortable to me to present to the world like this. So yung being in dresses, being in cis presentation, in a female presentation has for the longest time been uncomfortable to me, and if I will be the one asked, I am very uncomfortable for it, and I will do only the absolute minimum na kapalda, if you ask. So yun. So kaya for the longest time, I was very people kept dressing me up. It's because I could not do it. I could not do it properly myself. So dressing up which empowers most people does not seem that yung such that they know how to dress themselves up, they know what to pick, they know how to be fashionable. Does not work for me. So yun, I always wondered why other people can find that so easy. So yun. So but when I was able to wear my own clothes, I felt much better, and I could better do what I can better pick, I can better select, I know what to do. Which was so hard to do before when other people had the decision that not me. Okay, so this leads to the pronouns. Okay, um, Asian cultures and other cultures, our languages have gender neutral pronouns. Siya, kanila, 'di ba? Tayo, yun. So when you say siya, it means that person. Siya ay pumunta sa kabilang bahay. So it means that person went to the other house. We very gender neutral um, pronouns. Practically all Asian languages have a variation, have gender neutral pronouns. That says much about our history that got buried by Western colonization. Okay, so therefore, conversely, Western culture prioritizes the gender binary. So um, the pronouns that developed are very strict with the gender binary. So you have he, her, his, she, hers, and ganon. So very, very, very female, very male. Somewhere along the way, the them and their and theirs apparently was already used before, but over the course of time, especially when Western culture got more conservative, it got buried in history, and then it was just retrieved back again of using them as a gender neutral singular pronoun. Okay. Most non-binary people use the them, their, theirs, especially after 2015 when being non-binary got more familiar and easy to identify with. Yung hindi na nakakatakot ba? Okay po. Also it was the easiest pronoun to use, but that said, other non-binary people, especially those who have been in the LGBT community, even far earlier when being non-binary was not so accepted. Um, Many of them they tended to use neo pronouns. So that is uh, Z, Zim, Zer, and then XE, XE, say, Sim. So that is also one way of presenting being gender neutral. So when most people now use them, but to be safe, ask them first. So that's what ask your pronouns says. Okay, be respectful to the non-binary or the transgender person and ask them their particular pronouns that they like. Okay, to use. Okay, non-binary people love their own way. Okay, so one common misconception is halaman daw ang mga non-binary people. That is of course wrong. Halaman meaning they don't fall in love. Okay, but non-binary people fall in love. It is also an individual choice. Some of them fall in love with the opposite genders, with the opposite binary gender. Many fall in love within the gender. So top within the gender of their birth. Some are bisexual, pansexual, meaning it doesn't matter so much uh, wait lang. It matters to them the orientation. It doesn't matter so much the who they are. Mas important yung who they are rather than how. And second, they love the person. Secondary na lang yung details of the expression and the orientation. And then there are people naman who are asexual, meaning they don't feel the need or only a small need to have sex or have romance, but that is an individual choice of the non-binary person. So this is not the same. So this is also an individual choice. Okay, what non-binary people ask is in essentially is just two things: to accept them as they are and to love them as they are. It looks simple written down, but in practice and in real life, it's not as easy as it looks because nga we present differently. So it takes a lot of people time to get it to be. Some people are confused. Some people are no want to change them, want them to be different, want them to be uh, of the binary. Yung why can't you look the same as everybody else? So that's what makes it that's what makes it hard for people to accept and love non-binary people, even if it's simply laid out like that. Okay, so we'll come to the common misconceptions. I have to, ayan, here are the spoilers for some of for some of the dramas. I will not be uh, saying anything about that you love these dramas, but I guess what I'm saying is many of these things that we consume are written by people, and LGBT are seldom, if ever, consulted in these stories, in these scripts. So this perpetuates some of the things that should no longer be perpetuated in accepting non-binary and transgender people. Okay. Again, most of what I will say is for non-binary people. Some might be related to trans people, but not all the time. Okay. Okay. Tapos, ayan. First of all, um, it is incomplete to just describe a person in books or in media as a tomboy. Siya po ay tomboy. Okay po? Siya po ay nagmamaneho po ng jeep. Para po sa kanyang pamilya. Ganun. That is a very incomplete description. You have to give more details about the person you're talking about, because being a tomboy is just a gender expression. It can mean you are facing somebody who is a trans man. You could be facing somebody who is a male presenting non-binary person. Uh, some There are some who prefer to be identified as lesbian and also prefer to present as male. Okay, so often that's called the butch lesbian, but that is not the only term for them. Okay, you can also be be facing somebody who is a cisgender woman but prefers to be gender non-conforming. For instance, si Katra na lang, okay? Kasi easier to understand. Katra has short hair at by the end of the series, and she tends to wear suits, but does not that tends to not mean that she is a non-binary person. She is more of a gender non-conforming person. Okay, yun. I will not spoil the ending. Okay, ayan. So so we present as we do for ourselves. So um tawag nito. So we will not deceive people for 3 months just to get closer to someone. Okay, we present as we do for ourselves. To be fair, Coffee Prince did it very nicely naman. Okay, so si Yun Chan presents as she does because it is convenient for her, and um comfortable for her. So she presents that way of herself. Okay, so it is never the target to fool people, to get work, to get into a relationship. It is never the goal or to fool anyone. Now, some people, transgender and non-binary, it is empowering to them that they transition up to a point that they are cis passing, meaning cis passing, meaning yung it takes a while before cisgender people notice that they are not uh, cis cis people. Cis meaning of the binary, yung no no problem with being of their binary, okay? Or if they're male or if they're female, okay? However, that is not a goal, okay? Kasi we present ourselves for ourselves. So, people should not expect that 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 as a goal na to fool people into thinking that we are different. So also it does not take 3 months. Okay. In most cases, diba, you can see that I am different. If you go to the 7-Eleven or the or most places, you can tell that somebody is a gender non-conforming at least. Okay, please do not judge by visual appearance, but no, but in general, diba, you can see that someone is gender non-conforming. Okay, it's not a secret. Okay, and it will generally not take people very very long to to notice. Okay, however, do not expect that we fool people because we present as we do for ourselves and not to target to fool people. And to repeat, we are not traps. We do not present as we do to deliberately deceive anyone. Okay? There is a common misconception that, especially transgender people, that uh, yung it tends to unfortunately happen to transgender women that they are able to transition well enough that it takes a while before you notice that she is transgender. But she is transgender because of herself. Okay, it it is never the goal to deceive potential partners. Okay, it is never their goal. They just want to be accepted with their presentation as transgender women. Okay, and that is the same for non-binary people. Okay, we do not present as we do to deliberately deceive anyone, and please do not expect that we ever deliberately deceive anyone. Okay, I will start to get into more serious content in the next few slides, including the previously noted gender-based violence. Okay, the expectation of deceiving people is because of a common thing that tends to happen. The kind of script that tends to be written in popular media. Okay, so yan. So I will now discuss Shang from Mulan. Okay, but the the trajectory is the same for several other media. Okay, so si Shang, so una, so si Mulan left her family because to join the war. She joins the army. she cuts her hair and presents herself as Ping to the army, diba? So she can join, diba? So eventually, Ping is noticed by Shang, the general, diba, of that group. And then after a while, after Mulan gets familiar with the being in the army, she starts to get better in what she does. Mulan starts to get noticed by Shang, diba? Pero Shang notices Mulan as Ping, meaning Shang notices this person as someone who is male. And then Shang starts to like this person as as a man. He wants to befriend the Mulan as a man. After a while, and then getting more familiar with each other, Shang gets to admire Mulan as Ping, and then he is starting to fall in love with this person. So that leads to the problem of this leads to the Shang dilemma that what do I feel about this person? But I am straight. I cannot love a man because I am very, very straight. Diba? That's the problem with the Shang dilemma. Okay, so yun. And then after a while, uh, during the course of the events in the in the movie, uh, Shang eventually realizes that Ping is Mulan and is a female. So he goes through this stage of I was betrayed by this person. I thought he was a man. Now she's a woman. I feel betrayed. Okay. So he goes for a while for that. And then but in the end, Shang appreciates Mulan now as a woman, and then he falls in love with Mulan properly as a woman, and then they live happily ever after. Now that is the problem with this setup. Ayun, it tends to end with I am so glad you're a woman. I can fall in love with you without problems. I do not have to disgrace myself to the people I love and to the government because you are straight and we can have a good straight homosexual relationship with each other. That is the problem with the Shang dilemma. Okay, this is not an official term. It's just me. Okay, so that means so it's not uh it's not only in Mulan. It's pretty common. The picture that you're seeing is from Bromance. It's a Taiwan drama in 2015. So it's the same build up. So yun, it's not specific to Shang. It happens pretty often. The problem with the Shang dilemma is first of all, it cements that only the straight relationship matters. That people who are in a gay relationship do not matter. And lastly, that being bisexual is wrong. That is that being bisexual is not an option. Kasi pwede naman eh. That this guy is that this guy can be bisexual, loves men and loves women. So what's the problem with that? So yun. So a setup like this is uh makes it more prominent in the minds of more people. Okay, yeah. I was going to say about the so romance. Yeah. This one. See, Megan Lai is dressed as a man, Chinese thing that she has to live her life like a man, otherwise she will die. It's a Chinese tradition thing. So she meets Xifang as this male presenting person. Eventually, they become friends, and then after a while they start dancing and they start getting closer to each other after a while. uh I like this person more than a friend. What does this say about me? Okay, and then I am straight. I cannot fall in love with this person, and then I haven't reached the point, pero I'm pretty sure at the end I'm glad you're a woman, and then we can be together forever. Okay, so yun. So it's not it happens pretty often. And then I'm not saying I'm not saying all I am saying is just question the media, question how these things are written and how they are written without consulting any LGBT in the process. Okay, so that is the problem with this with this setup. Okay, so yeah. So what I'm just saying is, so uh I'm I understand that if you did like if like this series, but then yeah, just question the media, just question how they are written and why we were not consulted. Okay, so sorry. I will now have content warnings for gender based violence in the next slide. Okay, sorry. Okay. Tapos, okay. It is important that these that you at least question these things because the assumption that we deceive people causes trans and non-binary people first of all to die by suicide or get murdered or actually get killed. Okay, first people die by their own hand because they tend to be tricked by other people. Okay, so there is a common setup that someone says they are in love with this trans or non-binary person, but for whether for any various reasons, most of them money, and then when they can no longer take advantage of this person, they leave, and what they say is they were tricked by this trans or non-binary person. Okay, so of course, for trans or non-binary person is devastated, and because someone left, and then they were tricked. Okay, so that is what happens. The other thing that tends to happen is the famous case of Jennifer Laude. Okay, it is a common court uh, court excuse that this person met this transgender woman, and then over the course of a night, the man found out that he was with a transgender woman. He feels he was deceived, and then causes severe violence on the transgender person. This can also happen to a non-binary person. So yeah, because both of these happen because the people, the wider world assumes that we present the way we present to deceive people, which is very untrue. Okay, so this can this can partly stop if more media understand that uh, the assumption that deceit should not be continued. Okay, okay, so yes. So again, we will not change appearance. Again, this is another common problem that we tend to encounter. We will not change appearance for anyone. If we do, it should be on our own terms. Meaning, if you fall in love with us, part of the deal is that you fall in love with us for as we are. Okay, not without the pressure to change us into who you want us to be. So the most common of this is uh, asking or forcing the person to dress like the cisgender. Okay, so dress more like a woman. Bakit hindi ka magdamit na mas babae? Kasi para mas bagay sa'yo, 'di ba? Yung gano'n. Or for born female non-binary, this tends to happen. Or yun. So it tends to happen to a lot that we are pressured to be something else. Uh, so please do not do this for people, both in books and in real life. Okay, if we do change appearance, it should be on our own terms. So means that sometimes to protect ourselves from people who do not understand, we have to present as of the cisgender. But it was our choice to make, and after that, we will not. We will go back to how we usually present. Okay. Thank you for the chatting. Okay. Okay. Then other variation of this is as the the expectation of the Cinderella. Okay. In in media, this tends to happen two ways. First of all, the person who is presenting as a man but is a woman, the gender non-conforming person also is invited or is required to be in a fancy event, wedding, ball, corporate event. So the gender non-conforming person is forced to wear a dress. Okay, so and then the guy falls in love. Ang ganda-ganda mo pala. Pag nakadamit, I am in love with you now. But hindi mo, you were not in love with the person when they were in presenting as a, no, in the usual presentation. What does that say of you? Okay. So that is the, that is the problem with that. The other common presentation of this is someone goes away after all of the events in the, no, in the story, goes away for 1 to 2 years or sometimes even more for whatever reason, and they're still in the relationship but long distance, but and then the person comes back wearing the cisgender clothes. So ano, kunwari si someone presents as a male, presents male for the whole of the story and then leaves for some reason, comes back, presents more like a girl. So that is an that is a strange expectation of someone who is already comfortable in the current presentation. Okay? So that is the problem with that. So parang yung you're ano, so it's also a forced way of changing the person that way. It's parang it's all this also tends to happen in media, parang to make the people comfortable that to make the people in the media in to make people who are watching comfortable that uh, everything in the world stays the same, and people who are straight and cis presenting fall in love with people who are also cis presenting. And that is the problem with this presentation. So if you really love us, don't force us into pretty gowns. And if you're like me, okay, so um understand that that the person you're with is different and can and prefers different things. Even in informal events, we will wear different things. We will wear the things that are comfortable with us, and even if we go away, we will still wear the things that are comfortable for us. Okay. Here. Next, please do not dead name us. The dead most non-binary, there are people who are non-binary and transgender have different individual opinions on the dead name. Dead name is the birth name or the legal name. Okay. Uh, first, so some people would rather never use the birth name or the legal name everywhere and anywhere. Okay, so they really do not want to use this birth name or legal name because it reminds them of the orientation that they are leaving. Okay, that is the problem with the dead name. So if I understand that in government paperwork, in medical sections, we there are often no choice. We have to deal with the legal and the birth name. But in if you know us personally and you insist on using the name that we don't like, what does that say about our relationship? So that's the problem with the dead name. Okay, so as you know, I tend to use the my name at work and at emails, so it's not so problematic with me. But this is an individual thing. You have to ask the person individually what they think. Okay. This is also the same with pronouns. It's best if you ask the person individually what pronouns they prefer to use, if they prefer to use they, or if they prefer neo pronouns, no pronouns, or some people are okay with using the binary pronouns. Okay, so pero this is an individual choice. Ask the person directly. Okay, knowing our birth name or legal name is not permission to use it because we're close. We're close. I love you. I can call you now by the name you were born with because we're close. No, it doesn't work that way. If you're closer to us and you love us all the more, you will use the name that we prefer to use. Okay? Because you love us. You accept us for our presentation and for our identity. Okay. So yeah, happier things. I'm happier things already. I'm getting to the happier stuff. These are only five tips for writing genderqueer and non-binary characters. There are also a lot more suggestions online. It's not hard to Google for them anymore, thankfully, because of changes in acceptance for non-binary characters. So just Google for further information. Okay. First of all, examine the way you conceptualize gender. So um, it should be so know that gender is an individual choice. Even if your answers do not change, even if you analyze it, it is affirming, or it's a good exercise in being a person. Ayun, to think over what you think of your gender and the gender of other people, and then to break it down again. uh, Physical sex, meaning the genitalia, the sexuality, the gender identity, and gender expression are different things. Like in the gingerbread person given in the start. Okay? Tapos, so for yourself and also for any characters that you plan to make or any characters that you encounter, it is best to think it over based on these four things. Not just so for many people, the the genitalia, the who they want to fall in love with, the identity and the expression fall aligned together into something in the binary. But never forget that that many people are in the spectrum, and that gender is fluid for many people, and that these four things are not aligned in some people. Okay, so it is an individual thing, and it changes a person depending on the answers to these four questions. It changes how they appear. It changes how they uh, deal with people. Even as simple as going to the bathroom, it changes things. Okay, so always think of these four for yourself and for other people. Okay. Yan, tama si Carla. It's an exercise in being a good person just to analyze these things. Okay. Okay. I have to also clarify that we do not always look androgynous, so meaning neutral, gender neutral, or presents, like me, presents as a male presenting, but a female, or female presenting, but is assigned male at birth. Sometimes we do not look androgynous. This is Janelle Monet. Okay. She's fine. She's fine with using she. She's also fine with using they pronouns. They are fine and comfortable presenting uh within the binary. Okay, so she's fine with how she presents. She just feels that they just feel that the gender binary does not define them, and wants to be not defined by the gender binary. They want to be defined by the spectrum. So but whatever they wear what they wear. Okay, so being the androgynous look is not required. Okay, so also think it over when you think about how the people are characterized or as a person. Okay, next. Ayan, I will talk now about Pidge. Okay, I will have to give spoiler about Pidge of Voltron Legendary Defender. It's on Netflix. Okay, this is Pidge. Pidge is a girl. So Pidge is a girl. Officially, she's a girl. Okay. So this is why Pidge does not appear in when you Wikipedia or you Google for Pidge being non-binary, but the LGBT websites definitely understand what happened when Pidge was introduced, and how groundbreaking for at least Western animation, having Pidge around was. Okay. So yeah. Anyway, our gender is not the only thing about us. So yes, Pidge is a girl, and Pidge is a non-binary. There is contention, yes, but Pidge is non-binary and played and voice acting by a non-binary person, Dex Taylor Close. Okay, so the scripting of the whole series is that she is non-binary. Okay, but my point is, Paige is non-binary. Paige is a girl, but um, that is only one part of what Pidge is. Pidge is a pilot paladin of Voltron, meaning she drives the one of the lions. Pidge is very intelligent. Has is the most scientific thinking of all of them. Is the most technical. Is the best at handling any technology that comes their way. So also any strange thing, she is the best at researching about them. So that is my point is being the do not make a very do not forget that people are not just their gender. There are a lot of things, and do not forget this when you make characterization and when you build the story. Do not forget that in building a story, the character is more than just the gender and the different and the different presentation that they give. Okay. Okay. And then of course talk to a non-binary or gender variant person. Okay. So it's best because nga being non-binary is an individual thing and can change for various people. So it's best to talk to someone who knows what is being how what being non-binary is like because um some expectations as we said are very incorrect and might be bleeding over to any to new material. So it's best and also something so that you may not notice is in that happens to non-binary people might be also added to your story. So yeah, so don't forget to talk to somebody who is non-binary or trans or gender variant when making a story and get their input in on things. Okay. Ayan. We have I have a few uh, rep- I have a few suggestions and recommendations of what is a pretty good representation, okay, of being non-binary. Okay. First of all, ayan. First of all, this is Oran High School Host Club series in the early 2000s. Haruhi is a female because females in on a scholarship in a rich school, and then she meets these guys and becomes a part of the host club of the school, and then she also presents as male practically the whole time in the school and wears the dresses wears the dresses at home, and then her stand it's not so much um she's not so much interested on the gender of a person, more she's more interested in the personality of the person also. So that is also one way of being non-binary. Sometimes comfortable in male clothes, sometimes presenting in female clothes, but whichever is comfortable to the person. Okay, so it's decent representation. It does have the problems I cited in the earlier and being a big media. Yeah, so there are the common misconceptions and expectations. They do have it, but not so much. Okay. Ayan, again. Ay, so, I have to say yes, even if you don't believe me, Voltron Legendary Defender is pretty decent representation of someone who is non-binary and how to be around somebody who is non-binary, okay? Kasi, sobrang saludo ako with at least in the early seasons, the writing for Voltron in relation to Pidge is, is at least praiseworthy. Uh, and then none of them, there is almost no misogyny in this series. Four guys. They keep arguing over each other. They keep fight, not necessarily fighting. They keep arguing at each other. They keep not understanding each other, but none of them are ever disrespectful of Pidge. None. Okay, so I'm back when it was playing, I was uh I was surprised and I was impressed by what I call a whole lot of nothing, meaning there is no misogyny, there is no catcalling, there is no you fight like a girl, there is none. Okay, there is no you fight like a girl, no I have to help you because you're a girl, there is none of that. Okay, or in relation to Pidge. If they do this in relation to Allura, the cis female, it's because they it's a different kind of respect, and it's a different kind of understanding that the other person is cis female, but it's also a different respect of Pidge, that we do not also force the female things on her when she doesn't want them. Okay? Kuwari, magpapatulong si Allura, eh di tulungan. Allura wants to be helped, the guys help them. Pidge does not want to be helped or help differently. They pull back and let Pidge do Pidge's thing. Okay? Also, most of the early seasons, there is a very controlled use of pronouns for Pidge. Okay, so they respectfully use Pidge whenever they talk to Pidge, and none of them, when Pidge revealed that she is a girl, they did not insist on using the birth name. Only family members eventually use Pidge's birth name, but none of these guys do. Okay, until almost the end of until the end of the series, none of them use the birth name. All of them use the name that Pidge wanted. Okay, even if there is a story reason for this. So all of that is a kind of respect that you might not notice if you know. You might not notice, but does happen a lot in all of this series, and I am grateful for this series for that. There are problems at the end of the series, and um, it's part of why people need to defend LGBT representation, because Western animation and even Eastern animation tends to pull back, natatakot. Okay, so that's why stuff happened at the end of the series. But in general, it's a pretty good representation of how to be around somebody who is non-binary. Okay, next. But I do have a better presentation. Okay. And first, we have to start here. Literally, start here. Okay. Um, of the stories in Start Here, the one that does have somebody who is non-binary is the story by Motsinapul, but Gorgeous does have a non-binary person, does have use of they in as pronouns. So I was so glad when when this book came out and when this story came out. Kasi nga it's not it's not so much as it's hard to do, but done done not so often and not very well pretty often. So but Motsi did it well. Okay. So that's why I like this I like this series when it came I like this Anto when it came out. Thank you to everybody. Thank you, Bridge, and thank you okay. Thank you, Ron. But and yes, I'm of the stories, I love this one. Okay. I do not have a lot of recommendations. It is best that I refer you to the websites of Corey Alexander, also known as Sunwest. Rest in peace. I am sad that I only went through their website after I realized things that happened last last week yata. Ay, ayun. Both websites have a lot of recommendations for LGBT stories, books, and authors. And because Corey Alexander is a trans non-binary person themselves, uh, he has a very good recommendation of romance and speculative fiction books that have non-binary people, and uh, speculative and romance stories that are written by non-binary people. The Sunwest website has the romance recommendations. There are also some recommendations at the Cory Book Corner website. Okay, so if you're looking for somebody in romance who is non-binary and making stories, ayun, it's best that you go there. I found several, but since I was not able to read, I can personally recommend. But Corey Alexander, while they were alive, were one of the go-to people for among in that community, in the writer community, for suggestions for LGBT, it's particularly trans and non-binary content. Okay, so yan, just go through, go through their websites, plural. Yun. Yes, I am sad. I'm sad that I didn't know the depth of these websites before before stuff happened. Ayun. Okay. These two titles get recommended a lot online, and it is also recommended by Corey Alexander. Mooncakes has a non-binary character. Mason Fever is also non-binary, and then this one of the main characters is definitely non-binary and um, falls in love with a with a male presenting person. Yun. Ang what I hear from what I understand from online is gets to medyo madrama siya pero it all works out in the end. Pero yun na medyo madrama daw siya, please be medyo madrama, medyo serious daw siya, please be duly noted. Okay. Okay, ayan. Ayan, people will be happy about this. Yes, this is very correct representation. This is representation of someone who is non-binary in the way of gender fluid, meaning definitely meaning the spectrum. He is not confined to one gender. He works through the whole spectrum. Okay, so yun nga. In front of people, he's Sebastian presents as a prince, and there are days that he wants to be a princess and has clothes made for Sebastian until he meets Frances. So this is the kind of love that we want more often because the Frances uh, does find out both sides, both all the both knows Sebastian for the entire spectrum that he's a prince and that he also wears dresses and but she loves him anyway and not anyway she loves him period okay even with all this entire this being gender fluid okay is the best description for it. That's why it's a very excellent presentation of how people should be loved who are gender variant and gender fluid. Okay, yes, I really liked it. Some people may not know this anime. This is anime. It's not on Netflix. I'm sorry. It's in the other places that that anime is. This is Hoshia no Sora, Stars Align. Um, it might be a little harder to find. It's you'll find it in the harder ways, in the more unusual ways to find things. Okay. Stars Align is a series about a soft tennis team in middle school. Okay, I have to warn that this series is drama and deals with serious topics, particularly some parental abuse, some so definitely parental abuse, single parenthood, sometimes domestic violence. So I have to warn that it has these things. Okay, but Stars Align also has in recent time. This is one of the best straight uh, presentations of somebody who is a teenager and it's non-binary. Okay, there might actually be two characters who are non-binary, but they confirmed one. Okay, so this is Asuka yung first name niya. Okay, this Asuka. Yu is yung the one who takes care of the equipment and analyzes the games for this team. And then there is a whole episode he in which they say directly that they they do not want to be defined by they do not want to be defined by by any gender. They're still thinking it over what gender they really are. Okay, so yun. So if they want to be for the meantime at their current age, they want to be identified as X gender, which is the Japanese term for non-binary. Okay, so yun, it's parang wow, yung it's very rarely laid out like that. And then you also have to also the character Maki who they were talking to was also the most incredible acceptance of transgender people and non-binary people in recent time that I have ever seen. Okay, so it's incredible that way. It is serious. Please be advised that this is serious material, even if it has a young teenagers. But ayun, it's a very nice drama, and it does directly address uh, sexuality and LGBT concerns. Okay? Yeah. So I'm almost done. Thank you for listening for all of my slides. Okay. If you just remember one thing of all that I said, please remember that make things easy for actual people and for characters in books and for media to own who they are. Okay, owning who you are is going to make you a better paladin, pilot of Voltron. Okay, so when Pidge had to tell everybody, because everybody in Voltron is from Earth, but they come from slightly different places. So and even the ones who know Pidge best did not exactly know immediately that Pidge was a girl. So and non-binary. But this is the answer that Pidge was given. Owning who you are is going to make you a better paladin, and very the nicest answer I have ever seen. And just make it easy for people like me and characters in books and characters in media. Make it easy for them to own who they are. Make it easy for them to love by owning who they are, and we're good. Okay, that is not as easy as it looks. Okay, it's not as available on media as it sounds. So make it easy for people to be themselves, and and we're good. And I'm good with everybody. Okay, so acceptance does go a long way. Okay, and yun, and with Shiro's very nice message, I'm done. Thank you very much for listening, and I will already be taking questions. This is Kino from Kino and Kino's Journey and the Beautiful World. She is also non-binary. Okay, that's why she presents this way. Okay, but the series does not deal with her being non-binary at all. It deals with how she travels around. Okay, that's why I didn't discuss it. But yes, one of the most excellent presentations of non-binary anywhere. Si Kino. Okay. Okay, so ayun. I think I'm done. Sorry for my hair. I realized my hair. Okay, ayun, I'm done. So if you have do you have any questions or clarifications? Ayun. Si si Mina. What do we need to provide writers so we can encourage more stories with non-binary? What do we need to provide writers so we can encourage more stories with non-binary characters? I think, Your Highness, what you provide, just just what you provide already. Um, make it comfortable for various kinds of people to make their stories. Yun, it's a lot. Kaya nga may start here eh, kasi 'di ba? You thought it was a good idea, 'di ba? And you let Bridge and Ron do their thing, 'di ba? So, just make what you already do, kasi it's already hard enough in other places to have that opportunity, especially in bigger media. It's not allowed, or it's shut down immediately or quickly, okay, in favor of things that make people comfortable, because it propagates the gender binary. Okay, so just allow us to make more stories the way we need to make them. Yun, what you already provide is a lot. Yun, I swear, it's a lot. It's a lot more than other people get. Okay, ayun. Ayun. Any other questions? Thank you, Leslie. Thank you. Tapos, yes, Your Highness. Okay. Ano ba, may question pa po. Are there any clarifications or ano po? Yan. Tapos, yes, I like the Prince and the Dressmaker. Yun. Yes, there are issues with Voltron. Nga pala, Voltron Legendary Defender. It's the one in Netflix, not the older one. Okay. Despite what it looks and despite the problems, it did undo a lot of the misogyny of the original anime version. So yes. Um, don't forget it's sci-fi. Baka akalain nyo anong anong makukuha nyo. It's still a lot of arguing and it's still a lot of fighting robots, okay, and creatures, okay, and other things. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Katrina. Ah, when editing stories, what do editors like me need to keep in mind when editing stories with non-binary side characters? Uh, have someone who is non-binary um, to check the material um, before finalizing. Because maybe some things might not be immediately obvious to some people, but when somebody who is non-binary reads it, it comes out as a either it may come out as problematic or it may need more. Yun, yun lang po. So have somebody who is able to read the story first, who is actually non-binary. Okay. Tapos Comics Rex. Ay, oo nga pala, I forgot. Um, I I thought I was going to plug on Twitter individual non-binary Twitter people, but I realized that some might not be very out, even with the presentation. So I'm not sure if I could provide the Twitter of comikeros who are non-binary. But yes, there are comikeros who are non-binary. If you know who they are, yes, please support their material. Some of them do have non-binary material. Some of them don't. Okay, one good place to start is this one. Uh, this is the LGBT um compilation of Comiket. Okay, it has a good variety of LGBT concerns and stories, not just but it does have a few non-binary. I think they're just not yung specified, but there are people who are gender non-conforming and in this compilation. So this could be found from Comiket Inc. Can be bought from Secret HQ. It's on uh, Facebook, Secret HQ. It can be ordered from there. Okay, so yeah, it's an incredible anthology of LGBT small short comics. Okay, done by the people who know. Okay, people who are LGBT themselves. Okay, so it's a credible set of pieces. Yes, that Balagtas is in this anthology, if it matters. Okay, thank you, Ben. Okay, thank you for everybody who was listening. Okay, tapos thank you. I'm glad it was informative. Ayun. Thank you to everybody who listened to me. Um, ano pa ba? Ano pa ba sasabihin natin? Ayun. Ay, thank you for listening. After a while, by 7 o'clock, there will be food by the Alta people. Uh, Carla de Guzman, Suzette, and Bianca Mori. So there will be food in a while and by 7 o'clock. So yan, pambawi dun sa from all the seriousness of this of this lecture. Okay. Thank you, Bridge. Okay, thank you. Thank you everybody who listened. Thank you, May. And thank you to everybody who made this possible. And thank you for Tara for fixing the stream. Ayun. Thank you, Carla. Hi. Oo, may pa-catering yata ang Alte, kaya yun. So, yan. I also am waiting for the for the Alta stream. Okay. Tapos, yun. If you do you have any more questions before we finally end this, and we can all eat dinner, so we can have catering and dessert, food later. Seriously, thank you, Six. I'm glad. Okay. Serious lecture, important and necessary. I'm sorry for the serious things I had to say. I think they just had to be said. Um, um, I think just be just think over what what media we consume. That's all. That's all I ask. Can we send you Twitter? Oh naman. Send you questions on Twitter. Yes, you can send. Okay? So ayun. Will there if there is anything else, ano pa? Yes, you can send questions on Twitter. If there is there anything else? Because otherwise we can we're otherwise we're good. So we can take a break a little for the thank you, Anjali. So we can take a break a little for the for the Alta Street. Okay. Thank you, Jella. Okay. So yun, if there is anything else, we can I think we're good. Okay. Thank you for listening. Thank you for staying. Ayun. And ayun. Thank you for those who appreciated. I hope you understood. Um, Material is available now on Google. Just Google. Okay. Also Tumblr. Tumblr has a good number of Tumblr sites that have pretty good information. Back in early 2000s and 2000 early 2010s, the good information was on Tumblr, but it's now on it's on wikis and websites on just Google lang. Okay? So, yun. Okay, we're good. Ayan. So, yan. Thank you everybody. We hope to see you in the last RC readathon event. Please wait for our anthology daw in December with Celestine, with Suzette and Anjali. And and I hope you thank you for listening and thank you for watching. Okay. Ayan, I think we're good. Ayan. Bye-bye. Thank you, thank you. Ayan.